Do you still feel that urban planning is still a boys' club?
Our cities seemed to be designed not responsive for women, different groups of women, and non-binary individuals. Peak delivery times are between 7 and 9 p.m. Given the current state of our Indian cities, women themselves may not feel comfortable. Across India, I think we have about less than 300 drivers who are women.
Is designing for women expensive? And that's why it's getting taken.
It is just being attentive to the details. It's 9 p.m. Streets are not very vibrant. Well, there are few people, but it's quiet, right? I was scared that we are going to get robbed, we are going to get mugged. I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't have the patience for 2047. This needs to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. The entire city is out in its public spaces. You have families, you have children. It is a night of leisure. It is a night of joy. That is my vision of an Indian city. No parent or no family member telling their daughter, son, them that you cannot move to this city because it's unsafe. Those are the headlines I don't want to see.
Hi everyone, welcome to What's the Vision? Every city needs a catalyst to turn chaos into clarity and stats into stories. Today, my guest on the show, Sonal Shah, is that catalyst. We always say, make it inclusive for women, make it inclusive for people with physical disabilities. But if you do that for them, you're actually making it inclusive for all. I really enjoyed the conversation with Sonal Shah today. I hope you would also do. Enjoy the show. So Sonal, do you still feel that urban planning is still a boys' club?
Our cities seemed to be designed not responsive for women, different groups of women, and non-binary individuals.
True.
So I would say that is the problem. In terms of the decision makers who decide how our cities should be planned, it is perhaps a boys' club.
Wow. And you would want some more females and some more perspectives from the other ones.
I think it is not only a matter of representation, but also a matter of mindset. To say that how would a city be if it had a wide range of people, especially women, girls, elderly women, young women, women with disabilities, non-binary individuals, having those perspectives and mindsets in, I think would change, and not only representation.
Wow, that's a good beginning. And what's the vision of 2047 for Sonal Shah?
I don't have a vision, but I do have a vision, but let me describe it to you.
Sure.
I'm imagining an Indian city. It is 10 p.m. in the night. Public transport is free for everybody.
Wow.
All the museums in the city are free for everybody. The entire city is out in its public spaces. You have families, you have children, you have domestic workers, you have street vendors who are in museums who want to know, who can enter free of cost. It is a night of leisure. It is a night of joy. That is my vision of an Indian city.
Very differently, you've asked or told us in terms of a free museum also. I understood that a free transportation that you discussed, but what's the specific thing about free museum thing and all that?
Which means that anyone can go to any museum in the city free of cost. That never becomes a barrier for you to learn about your history, about your culture. And that is my vision as well.
Wow. And what's that one thing, do you feel that an Delhi woman or an Indian city woman will be able to do freely in 2047, but not, which looks very impossible today?
Yeah. Um, Priyadarshi, like I mentioned to you earlier, that perhaps I'm a bit impatient and I won't wait for 2047. To me, I hope this happens in the next 5 to 10 years,
Sure.
where Delhi is known as a night city. I think it would be, for me, that would be the big shift for Delhi as a city, to say that women, girls, I said a wide range of people, right? And are enjoying public space in the night. I'm saying public space,
True.
right? We are not looking at restaurants.
Yeah, it's
I'm
not
looking
private
at
parties and all.
yeah, correct, right? We are looking at parks. We're looking at streets, and so we have a very very wide range of people, especially women, girls, women with disabilities, and a different socioeconomic groups of women.
Wow. And you specifically talked about women, the people, non-binary, as you mentioned. Are we also including the people with physical disabilities?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
what differs for them in 2047, the vision that we are looking at, or
I
5 years
think,
down the line?
I
we're
hope
discussing?
there is. So one is, I feel that a person with a physical disability or other disabilities doesn't feel that that will be a barrier for them to access any public space or any opportunity. I think that should not happen at all. They feel that if they want to go out and they need medicine, they should feel that they can do so. Streets are accessible, public transport is accessible, people are nice. And people are nice, they have the information they need in order to get what they want.
And if you're actually designing an ideal city for a 2047,
Yeah.
let's take us to that journey. How would it actually look like? We have talked about in a broader sense for sure, but maybe imagine a place, take any place in any city, and let's try and redevelop that. What
Understood.
would change? What would people look like?
Three big things that I imagine, like I said, first, that the city is vibrant in the night. So let's say the city is known as a night city, that would be fantastic, right? So that is one a very tangible idea, right?
Can we say that Mumbai is already there at that position?
Mumbai, to some extent, right? But even there is enough research to say that even in Mumbai, which is considered as a relatively safer city for women, you may also find that women constitute only 20% of people who are present in public spaces. And that may not be so in the night, right? So I feel that we're still not there yet, even in terms of Mumbai. The second place that I think would be is men partake in unpaid household and care work equally. To me, that would be an ideal city for women. So you see men partaking in care work, in unpaid household and care work, because that would be very important. This intra-household distribution of care work would be very different for a city or for a society to be ideal for women as well. That would be the second one. I think the third one would be there are no instances of sexual harassment in public spaces, right?
Sure.
That the city is safe.
Why would I say only public spaces? I think
And I'm now coming to the fourth one, and I completely agree with you, is that there is no domestic, intimate partner violence or no sexual harassment at the workplace as well. So those are my visions for 2047. And actually, no, I'm going to correct myself. I don't have the patience for 2047. This needs to happen in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, probably in 2030 we'll be talking about then the further vision if this was achieved by that time.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about specifically on unpaid work being done by the male society, for example. What are the details of that? What exactly do you mean?
Yeah. So one is currently, existing data shows that women perform 6 times the share of unpaid household and care work compared to men.
6 times.
6 times, right? This is in India.
What is this unpaid
And what
work?
is it?
Yeah.
Yes, so I'll come to that. Dropping children to school, how cooking,
Okay.
sometimes it might be washing utensils, caring for someone at home who's unwell, right? Um, the emotional labor of planning your children's schedules, all of that tends to fall largely on women. Or if you're saying caring for elderly in the house, they fall ill, you need to buy household groceries, all of it falls under care work.
Wow. Is that mobility for care? Is that the
Mobility is only one part of it, that the trips to perform this care work is only one
somebody
part.
dropping a
Yes, someone
son
dropping.
or daughter to a school?
Fair enough. So so mobility of care, first coined by, as we may know, is Ines Sanchez Madriaga, looked at travel for care related purposes, which included escorting, which also included travel for household purchases.
Okay.
And for other things, like, you want to drop a check to the bank. We don't do that anymore, but some of those pieces as
A lot
well.
of people would be doing that today also.
Correct. There would be. I think we will go to mobility of care, but I'm saying that care work more broadly is also about the caring for people in the house, all the
You're not
household
traveling
chores.
anywhere, but
Yeah, that as well. Or planning your children's schedule, making them study, and so on and so forth.
Wow. And we're seeing a lot of gig workers, I would say. And we've seen Zomato, we've seen urban companies, Swiggy, and there's a lot of women participation that's going up. Is that a good start towards a vision that we are also envisioning?
I feel we are still not there, Priyadarshi. I think that currently the cost of onboarding a woman, let's say delivery partner, can be 4 to 5 times that of onboarding a male delivery partner. And that becomes a big barrier for many companies to recruit, to proactively, reach out, to proactively mobilize women to these roles. So I think this needs to be addressed. It is a start, but we are nowhere close to where we would want to be.
Sure, I think after the 1857, the 2047 revolution will also be required. And that's where probably it's a start again, as I said, to a bigger revolution. But somewhere we have started seeing some participation, at least from these companies.
Typically, they tend to be under 5%, is what I've understood. Typically, unless you have some women-only fleets, we have examples of Even Cargo or an Azad Foundation who's making that effort to train women drivers, particularly as well. So, unless there are organizations who are focusing on this, otherwise the industry standard is still quite low.
Okay. And you said that the cost of onboarding women is like 5 times.
Yeah.
Why is that? And what all that cost is? Why is that increasing?
Yeah. I think as far as delivery work is concerned, there are many, many pieces in this. One is the concern of households and families to around whether their sisters, daughters, partners will be safe on the road. But then that safety sometimes also becomes a protectionist measure. They don't want them to go too far out away from the house. So that is one. Second, I think the second is access to a vehicle, because many organizations require some access to a vehicle. Knowing how to drive a vehicle, especially let's say a two-wheeler, which itself can become a barrier for a lot of women, and who may need, and our research around the uptake of electric two-wheelers has shown that in our sample, about 56% of women were trained formally compared to only 22% of men. So men may rely more on friends and may also learn themselves. Women may be more dependent on family members, for example, or may need formal training as well. So first piece I'd say is households and family members. Second is learning how to drive. Third is the process of obtaining a license. Fourth is access to a vehicle. We now see rental models, so that is definitely encouraging. But when we move to ownership, I think there is some challenges related to access to credit, because you need a collateral or a bias from the bank in terms of having a co-signee and who would feel comfortable having a male member who's perceived to be earning. And the last piece that I'd also say is that what is the growth of the person beyond being a delivery worker? I do this job, let's say a few years, how do I grow?
Grow, yeah.
Right? So what is that growth path? And having more humane work conditions. I think that many delivery workers end up working fairly long hours. That 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 in the current scenario becomes untenable for women because of the one thing I mentioned earlier, is the unpaid household and care work that they need to perform. In fact, in one of the consultations with an online delivery platform, they mentioned that their peak delivery times are between 7 and 9 p.m.
Wow.
And so, given the current state of our Indian cities, many households may not feel comfortable, right? Or women themselves may not feel comfortable. Uh, uh,
So
After
this we're talking
sunset,
about food deliveries, and
it could
could
be
be grocery deliveries and all that.
correct. Yeah, it may be slightly different in other sectors. Yeah.
And what's a headline for you for 2047 that you want to see that day?
A headline for 2035, if
True.
I may.
For sure.
Um, at least 3 Indian cities are listed in a global measurement of cities across the world as being the most livable, equitable, and safe for women.
Wow. And any references do we have today? Where are we as on today in Indian city?
I think we have some way to go.
Wow. And what is, so this is something that you want to see. Any headline that you would never want to see in 2047 again or 2035 that
Yeah. No parent or no family member telling their daughter, son, them that you cannot move to this city because it's unsafe. Don't take this job because it's unsafe. Those are the headlines I don't want to see.
So Sonal, that was a deep discussion. That was really, really nice from the different angle that we are seeing from you. And a lot of your work actually has come up. And we have defined a great vision for 2047. But it's very important to build a roadmap. How do we actually achieve it?
Mhm.
So what do you think would be 3 policies or interventions in maybe probably that we don't require in 2047, right? So what are the 3 policies or intervention that we require in 2030 itself or 2035 itself so that we can reach to that vision that we discussed?
Yeah. I think the first one will be slightly broader in my perspective, is an act, a law,
A law, okay.
a law that would make gender equality a core duty of all public agencies. I'm not limiting myself. I mean, it could be city authorities also, but that gender equality is a mandate, that they are by law required to achieve this, which would therefore have multiple things that would need to get kick-started.
Okay.
Assess where gender inequality exists, measure it, right? And we can do it across sectors. We can do at a city level. Imagine a city in India, right, developing indicators and trying to assess how they are doing vis-a-vis poverty, vis-a-vis access to housing, vis-a-vis transportation, vis-a-vis political representation, and create these gender indicators, measure these indicators through a gender lens so that you understand what is the gender gap, and then begin to take measures to address them in order to achieve equality for us.
Okay, so that's one. And probably if you can give an example for our audience, then they'll be able to understand that better. Let's take an example where you feel like that there is an inequality that happens today, and a possible intervention could be this.
Yeah.
What that could be.
Understood. I think some of it we are seeing currently as well. Let's look at the employment in the transport sector.
Okay.
Currently, less than 1% of working women are employed in the transport sector in India. And it's not too high for men either, but it's about 6% of all working men are in the transport sector. Across India, I think we have about less than 300 drivers who are women.
Okay.
Right?
This is across India, you say?
Across India, 300 drivers of STUs, public bus drivers.
Okay.
Right? Sorry, my bad.
So the government-owned buses, the STUs.
Government STUs, yeah. So government-owned buses and so on. And so less than 300 would be women drivers in.
Like this could be out of 1 lakh, 2 lakh sort of a total drivers that we have.
Let's say let's take urban buses. If we take anywhere about say 35 to 40, say 40,000 urban public buses, of which we would have roughly say about
2 drivers each.
2.5, roughly. Yeah. So, okay, let's take 2 just for, so that's about 80,000 drivers. And then you know how many we have, and we have roughly less than 300 or so.
Wow.
So there's a very, very big gap. So a lot would need to be done. One is look at the Motor Vehicles Act.
Okay.
As well for each state. It could depend on which state it is, and see what is the eligibility criteria in order to drive a heavy passenger vehicle. We would then need to work with the Public Transport Authority to understand their specific eligibility criteria. Sometimes it's the height requirement, as in the case of Delhi, which required you to be at least, I think, 5 feet 6 inches to be a driver, which excluded most women, simply based on a height requirement, which is not even, you know.
So considering there are seats which can be now movable.
Seats that can be adjusted and so on. We don't even need physical effort anymore to drive the vehicle. We have power steering as well. Yes. And we would then need to, and in many cases, for example, you need to be driving a medium passenger vehicle for at least 2 years before you can drive a heavy passenger vehicle. In a lot of cases, this can be a barrier for women. In the city of Pune, if you wanted to be a driver of PML's buses, you would have to drive a heavy passenger vehicle for 5 years before you could drive a bus. And that leaves women out. So I think what Delhi did was one step, which was they reduced the height requirement. They also said that if you are medically fit and if you have a heavy passenger license, heavy passenger vehicle license, we will train you on our buses for about a month, then take a test, right, to see if you can drive the bus on public roads. This is a good measure. We now see that from earlier there was 1 driver and you now have about 90 drivers. I think these numbers keep shifting a little bit. But having come in, how do you retain them is another level. Yes, where work cultures need to change, where infrastructure at the depot level needs to change so that you have a more, so that the women who are now employed stay in the job.
Sure, sure. So that's a different problem. After the first problem is already solved, that you have onboarded them. Now,
How
do
do
you
you
keep
retain them? Yeah.
Okay. So that's one of the policy or intervention that you talked about. What could be the other two
The
that
other
you're
one
looking?
would be a policy for care. I think what we really need is a policy that looks within organizations, uh, that looks at multiple pieces in order to not only hire women but also retain them.
Okay.
Flexible work schedules, parental paid leave. Currently, we do have certain benefits. We have the Maternity Benefit Act, and we have the POSH Act, and we have a few others that are there in organizations. But we also need paid parental leave, so that a lot of times organizations then say that it is more expensive to hire a woman than to hire a man, and therefore this introduces another layer of barriers for women. So I think that we need policies within organizations that encourage more women to be onboarded and reduce the cost of hiring women, even if they acknowledge later that women are better workers, they are more diligent, etc.
Okay.
But this is a big entry barrier.
That's an entry barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we already have the POSH Act. There are some measures that can be implemented. We need good care infrastructure, public care infrastructure, wherein if we need to have our children taken care of, if our elderly need to be taken care of, if we have certain people with disabilities who need care,
Okay.
right? We have infrastructure that takes care of them. So, like creches is one example, or elderly care facilities,
Yeah.
or facilities for people with disabilities as well. These will make a big difference into the barriers that will get women in the workforce. So at one level, a city could adopt a policy on care, but also ensure that they build public care infrastructure to support this as well.
Okay, so it's all the infrastructure that we're talking about. If it remains present, it'll bring a lot and lot of change. But it's not being done as on today.
No.
What are the challenges that you see that are being faced, or why is somebody not working on this?
You know, Priyadarshi, I think the importance and of the role of unpaid care work in restricting women's employment emerged during the COVID-19 pandemic. That is when a big discussion began to emerge on the time spent by households, but predominantly by women in care work. And therefore, it's only maybe 5 years before, like during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we are now seeing a lot of advocacy around it as well. Um, I think there is now a momentum, right, to see that this translates into infrastructure as well.
So are
So,
you saying COVID actually helped to make us understand that what exactly the problem is with women having this to do the household care, and male society actually understood it because they will have to do a lot of work sitting at home that time.
I think it
That
brought a
actually
lot of visibility.
true.
It
Yeah,
brought a lot of visibility. The issue was there. It brought a lot of visibility.
true. Wow. And what's the biggest flaw in Indian society or Indian cities that you actually see that is currently excluding the women?
Women leaders,
Okay.
women city leaders. It's not a flaw, but mechanisms whereby we have leaders, women as city leaders, who could then design. And I think one person that comes to mind was the former mayor of Bogota, um,
Claudia.
Claudia. Thank you, Claudia Lopez. So I think it's not a flaw, but I think it's something that is very sorely missing, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a slightly larger problem. I mean, women elected leaders with the authority to govern their city. So it may not only be a gender problem, it may also be a slightly urban governance problem, but that is what I think is the biggest flaw.
So to follow up to that question, what's your message to Honorable CM for Delhi, Ms. Rekha Gupta, and what all changes that she can actually bring in for at least the women, for women in Delhi actually? Like being a very super powerful woman herself, what else can we expect?
I think this might be I think that's a really good question, Priyadarshi. What if, okay, this is like what if Delhi had a policy for women, gender minorities as well, or gender non-binary individuals, and it actually having her at the helm and saying, let's create a policy that will then tell us what we need to do in the next 10 years.
10 years. Yeah.
And then, many of the things that, because I feel that what is really sorely missing is this involvement of people to shape a city's narrative and an agenda. They're too technocratic. Our processes are extremely technocratic. The way that our acts define how a master plan is to be made is only consultations, right? But we are not really making that effort to involve civil society organizations, involve city residents in deciding the future of the city we want. That would be my first recommendation. Create a policy framework for women, for gender non-binary individuals, for the city.
Wow. But the moment you say that every citizen's voice needs to be heard, it becomes a little complex process also for creating that master plan that we are talking. How do you actually make it lesser, or even if these voices are heard, and how do you make this in a lesser complex manner?
I feel that, um, there are ways to do it, and many cities have made significant efforts to do so, because Delhi is the capital city of India, and I don't think it's a problem of resources. But having said that, you can have a phased wise approach, right? Let's say that you first create a diagnostic. Okay, so let me just lay this plan out, right? Because
Sure.
now you're getting me very, very excited, Priyadarshi, as
Please
well.
do, yes.
Let's say the city of Delhi, and I'm borrowing a lot from what the city of Vienna did as well, right? Let the city of Delhi create a report which aims to understand the status of men, women, and non-binary individuals in the city of Delhi. What are the rates of poverty?
Okay.
What are the rates of employment? What are the rates of unemployment? What is the access to affordable housing? What is the safety in public spaces? And so on, right? So we can just do this across sectors for Delhi. This gives you a baseline. Then use that to convene civil society and expert discussions. It can happen across the districts of Delhi, right? Like, we need very localized inputs as much as, and that is not difficult.
That's definitely not.
Yeah, it can't. Once you have the statistics, why is this happening and what can we do? There are a lot of ground level interventions. You start going by district to district to district.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then create a framework, go back to present that framework so that you get initial ideas and responses, and then publish your policy framework. What this means is that you will have involvement. Along with this, we will need a sustained communication campaign that will continue to use different forms of media to say, this is the baseline statistic, these are the reasons, these are the actions that we will take. And a process like this will take time. So that is the thing, right? It's not going to happen in 2-3 months.
Sure.
No ways. It will not happen. It will take a year. I think it will take at least 2 years to do something like this. But to me, if you go in this manner, there will be many collaborators along the way. And I think it will be a co-created policy framework.
It has to be. So without collaboration, it won't happen. And if we break it down to numbers, take 2 crore population of Delhi and 11 districts in Delhi, and that's where we start with one district, a 20 lakh population is what we start with nearly. Maybe, and then we break it down to even more localizations for that, and then talk to every citizen, and most of the citizens will be happy to contribute in that.
Yeah.
Probably it will be a good start, and then we see a larger picture. Where one district plan has come up, then the other one will come up, and then you will see a Delhi plan will come up. And that's where 2 years, 3 years is very, very important.
Because we'll have, we have resident welfare associations, we have unions. So there are organizations that are representing their constituencies, right? And you do find that our MLAs and our corporators are often very closely in touch with these with the RWAs, but also with labor. I mean, I'm talking about street vending unions and civil society organizations as well. So that is the way that we can reach all the residents of Delhi, right? I mean, I'm not only referring to Delhi, but any other city.
Yeah. So there are MLAs and there are councillors and there are RWAs. So a lot of intervention points are there. So we talked about a lot of collaboration also here, but let's assume now if Sonal Shah is given 1 CR, for example, it's a money that, the government is spending a huge, but let's suppose Sonal Shah had 1 CR of money and she wanted to spend something and invest in the city and the vision that you're talking about, the roadmap that you're trying to build. What share would you give to in each specifics?
I told you. You know what I want to do, Priyadarshi? I want to create a policy framework for women and non-binary individuals. I would put all that money there. 1 crore may not be enough.
I'm sure that may not be enough, but let's start somewhere. Is that the only thing? But
I would do that as a priority because to me, a long-term vision is missing right now. If we want a Viksit Bharat with 70% labor force participation by women, we need to have a very clear idea of what are the coordinated actions we need. I would do that. I would put all my money over there right now.
Wow. And one city that you believe and one company in this whole ecosystem of India, you're seeing that we're actually working into this inclusive mobility or inclusive everything that they are doing.
Yeah, I mean, I have had the privilege of traveling to Vienna, if I can use an international example.
Please.
And I have read a lot about it and have had the privilege of having kind of traveled with some of their former gender experts, who's also our advisor, Eva Kale. So I think that it is a city that is so thoughtfully designed and planned that I would probably want to think about that. I mean, that is the one city that comes to my mind.
So thanks, Sonal. That was wonderful conversation with you. We build a great vision of 2047 and we also build a roadmap on it. Now that there's been a lot of conversation, I want to play a game right now. And it's more on what a word. That's what we call this segment. I'll give you one word and you'll have to tell me what comes first to your mind. So let's start. The first word will be walkability.
Good footpaths.
Smart city mission.
Real-time information for buses.
Okay. Pink toilets.
Clean toilets.
VIP roadblocks.
No, please.
Rainy day in Mumbai.
Beautiful.
Wow. Auto rickshaw negotiations.
Don't like them.
Delhi Metro at 10 p.m.
Great.
Women only compartment.
Can't find a place to sit.
Wow. Okay, that's news for us. Google Maps lady voice.
As long as she's doing the job.
She's still guiding people like
Yeah.
us. Gender budgeting.
Required.
CCTV cameras for safety.
Oh, need lots more than that for safety.
Footpath encroachment.
Find the cars.
15-minute city.
Question mark.
Urban catalyst.
Transforming cities to become gender equitable.
You can't take so much time for your own company.
I know, right?
Zomato delivery girl.
Never seen one.
Oh, is that true?
I mean, I've never received a delivery from a Zomato, delivery woman. Never. But I don't even recall seeing one. Sorry.
Wow. If somebody from Zomato is listening, this is for you. And electric bus depot.
Hot.
Oh, okay. So that was really nice. Good answers. I was expecting some awesome answers and I got some. I just have one more segment with you. And this is something that we call it if you were a minister. And we're not talking about specific departments here. We're talking about very specific in the cities thing.
Okay.
So let me just start. So if Sonal was a minister of footpaths, what's your first order?
The entire city needs to have good walkable footpaths. That's it.
Wow. So now if somebody is listening, again, if she becomes a minister of footpaths, they are in.
You have to make me not minister of footpaths. You have to make me a road owning agency. So it could be, call me the minister of the public works department. And I would say that the minimum footpath width in your city, right, has to be at least 50% of the total right of way for your major roads.
Okay. And even if you build that, maintain them, and there's no encroachment to that.
Absolutely.
Please add to that.
I agree with you. Absolutely.
If you've done the hard work, that is most
Agreed.
more
Agreed.
required.
Agreed. Fair enough. Well. It's well taken. Absolutely.
If Sonal was a minister of metro manners, one rule for passengers,
No man spreading,
what would that mean?
meaning men who sit with their legs spread wide apart.
Okay. A minister of streetlights,
Identify areas that need street lighting, but I don't think that all parts of the city need to be lit all the time.
all the time. Okay.
No. And I can give you an example. I know you have that question.
Definitely.
And I'm going to recall this one experience I had in Singapore. We were visiting a former train station. I'll get you the name. And it was 9 p.m. in the night. My spouse and I were, it was one of the things that we needed to visit as a tourist.
This is 9 p.m.
Yeah, 9 p.m. in the night, right? Yeah. And it's 9 p.m. Streets are not very vibrant. Well, there are few people, but it's quiet, right? I was scared. I was scared that we are going to get robbed. We are going to get mugged. I don't know what's going to happen to me. We were on the main road. We took a bus and we then went to look for a section of the track and the train station. It was dark, right? It was dark. And I saw a cyclist go past us, cycling in the dark. Wow. We reached the area. There was a public utility close by. There were toilets. They were well lit. So we used the toilets. They were clean. But then we walked along that track and to the station where there was very minimal light. It was a place
Dim lighting.
I mean, some parts were very dimly lit, but some parts were dark, right? So I would need my phone torch.
Wow.
It was quiet, and we just sat. We enjoyed ourselves. We just sat, took in the silence of the night. We were safe. And that's when it hit me that not all places in a city need to be lit if the overall security of the city is present. Right? It was a really, we just listened to the sounds of the environment, and it was a very, very nice, quiet, dark space, and we were safe.
Yeah, possibly. I think we consider that if it's lit, if it's safe, then it's safe. But if it's dark, then it's not safe. So maybe that filtration that we have in our minds have make us believe that everything need to be lit up. But yeah, this
Correct. And I
this
think
moment could be really, really different.
we need a very good, clearly we need a very good security system in the city as well in order
Then
for
only
this.
you can feel that the experience that you had, then only you can have it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good to know.
I know, and I'll just tell you one thing, Priyadarshi, is that, coming from my condition, I was like, my God, we are going to get robbed. Nothing happened.
Wow.
So yeah, it was good.
Nice. And if you were minister of bus stops,
Oh my God, please let's have good bus stops. I have a whole list of things that need to be
when
done.
you say good, what would
Can
that mean?
yeah, there are many things. The first thing I'd say that please, if there is a way that we can have level boarding and alighting, so that
This is the footpath, the bus aligns with the footpath. Basically.
yes,
You don't have
the bus aligns with the footpath or where the bus stop is.
Yes.
The bus stop is sheltered and it protects me from the sun, right, as well as the rain. I can get real-time information on the bus arrivals. So there is a board that tells me which bus is coming and it's accurate, right? It's in Hindi and in the local, it's in English and in the local language. There is enough seating, right? There's enough seating so that if there's a pregnant woman, she can sit. If there's an old lady or an old man, there's place for them to sit as well. So there is enough seating at the bus stop. A lot of times we use our back panels as advertising. And again, if you are in the evenings and if there are hidden corners between your bus stop and the compound wall, so there are translucent back panels or there are transparent back panels so that you can see if anyone is walking behind the bus stop as well. I think these might be some of the few things that I would like at a bus stop. And I would make sure that all bus stops, and not only those in the city center, are designed well and maintained well.
Wow. Only one question. Why do you want to see who's walking behind the bus stop?
Sometimes you can have, if there is an opaque panel, people can lurk behind. No?
Okay.
People can stand behind the bus stop as well, which I may feel unsafe, right? Like I might be thinking who's standing behind the bus stop, especially if I'm waiting in the night.
I'll have to check if there is any space also, because a lot of time there's a wall and then there's a bus stop. And finally, if you're a minister of EV fleets, what you will do?
I would do anything that it takes to have at least, I know it sounds maybe a little cliche, but move towards a gender balanced EV fleet, whatever it takes, whatever. I don't want to prescribe measures, but whatever it takes.
Okay. So that's ends our two games. And now we'll move on to our myth busting session. And this is really amazing that we feel like there are a lot of audience actually have been relating to this, and we have got great answers from the guests that we have. So Sonal, we have seen that mobility isn't about just movement, but it's about dignity. Should apps like Zomato, Swiggy, who have delivery partners, be held accountable for how their delivery riders are using public toilets, where they're waiting, and all that? All the problems they might be facing.
That's an interesting question. I feel that one, we need to first have good let's take the issue of public toilets, because
Sure.
it's something that has impacted me personally multiple
And we're
times.
talking about not just women, it's also men that was doing the
Correct.
yeah.
We need clean, hygienic, functional public toilets, irrespective, period. And Priyadarshi, I have traveled to cities like Hanoi
Okay.
in Vietnam. I have had the privilege of traveling to Hong Kong, to Singapore. Public toilets are clean, they are available. And it took me a while, because I thought initially I thought this was a global issue. No, there are clean public toilets that we can use. So I think that this is not about a worker type. We just need this, period,
For
for
everyone.
everyone. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's a non-issue in many cities. It's not an issue. I have seen it being a problem in cities like Paris, in New York, but there are other cities where it's just not an issue, and I think we need to reach there.
Okay. And what about the waiting areas for people, for these delivery partners?
Yes, absolutely. I think that having waiting areas and places where they can rest is definitely something that they could do. That I think that could help, that would help the health of these delivery partners as well. I'd say let's look at it partly as an initiative between the government and the companies themselves, right? So let this be a partnership where they can both look at where we can find waiting areas, because honestly, just think about it, right? You also have rickshaw drivers.
Yes.
We are now bringing this issue because we are talking about delivery workers, but we always had rickshaw drivers.
Yes.
We had
True.
taxi drivers,
True.
right? Why not have rest areas for them? So I think there is a case to be made for public space workers in general, and not only certain types of workers.
True. But that's a different angle that we are seeing, because even if so, I could see that there are public areas for waiting. For example, you and me can sit there, but supposedly if a delivery partner or if somebody like him or her comes there, a lot of them they are just shooed away. That's also a change in behavior probably we're looking at. And does that really happen today also?
I don't know if I have seen that. I mean, I've not seen them being shooed away from any place, so I
Okay.
don't know, and I can't speak to that. Um, I don't. I mean, I don't think I can answer to that
Perfect,
question.
perfect.
Yeah.
And what about these women workers or gig workers that we talk about? A lot of time that we have seen that these women have to skip the evening time of work. So are our cities designed or are our cities flawed in that ways? Or
I
is
absolutely. I
that
mean,
something
there are
else?
multiple things. One, like I mentioned before, it is it is a lot of times it might be because they need to cater to the unpaid household and care work. Go home, make food, etc., 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 which might restrict them from continuing to work later in the night. That could be one reason. Second could be safety in the night as well, right? It doesn't feel safe to deliver in the night, so that could be the second one. Um, I think it would be, I'll just say one thing though. One of the pieces that we have observed, and this, I won't only stay at gig workers, right?
Okay, sure.
But I'll also look at, like I said, I look at e-rickshaw drivers, I look at auto drivers, and so on. Um, the Some of the early adopters, at least we had seen earlier, were women who who were women heads of households, or women who really needed the money, and they became some of the early
Early.
adopters,
True.
right? Because the money kind of, because they needed the money, and that is why they came, that's why they wanted to take up jobs which otherwise household would feel constrained. I don't know if that pattern is playing out in the gig economy, I'm not sure, but at least we had seen this with, also with women bus drivers, also with e-rickshaw or auto drivers as well.
True. And one more myth or truth that you'll have to define is designing for women expensive, and that's why it's getting delayed.
No. A lot of
But
our
you did talk about that it is like onboarding a women is like 5 times.
that is
But
not okay. So if I have to design a place, is different from onboarding. You know, they're two
sure,
different
yeah,
things, right? Like
yeah.
I'm trying to say that we are going to design a public space. In my view, it is about the details. It is just being attentive to the details, which can ensure that it can become inclusive.
So it's not only about making it inclusive for women, but it's about inclusive for all.
I
And
agree.
a lot of time, I think sometimes I've heard this: if you're making it inclusive for women, it automatically affects the other also, and it's good for the rest of the people also, for the male society also, if you're doing that.
What I'd say now, um, we are seeing, I would say yes. Let me just say what I mean. Let me just clarify. In the current scenario, you see that women are also largely responsible for care work. So they may have dependents with them,
Okay.
right? So when we begin to design for them, we also think about designing for their care receivers,
True.
right?
True.
This is not to say we want this to be perpetuated, but therefore, if we were to think about women currently, yes, we would. But let's keep in mind, and I think this is very important, that we look at different groups of women, right? For example, there might be a woman street vendor. There can be a young female student. There can be an elderly woman. There can be a non-binary individual. And here we'll see some of those tensions play out, because a lot of times non-binary individuals face a lot of they face a lot of stigma and sexual harassment as well, and also women with disabilities. So I think let's just keep in mind that there's a very, very wide
Yeah.
range and groups of people, right?
A lot of time we have seen that safety means CCTV cameras. Is the tech enough, or do we need to do something else also?
We definitely need to do more, because CCTV cameras generally help in post facto, right?
True.
After an incident has occurred. Interestingly, though, Priyadarshi, is when we do surveys and ask women, they say they would feel safe if there was a CCTV camera. It's a very
They
interesting
feel
thing.
safe.
They would, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. True.
Whether the CCTV camera is working
On.
or not, like somehow that perception is there
Because
amongst.
the idea is there that we assume that it is working. That's why it's there.
Correct. And correct. It's and that maybe someone is watching, perhaps.
Yes.
I think that is perhaps
Yes.
the perception,
Yes.
right? But in reality, I think we need a lot more, because it doesn't help prevent an incident, right? We also can't only look at addressing violence, gender-based violence, but also preventing it.
But what can be done for that?
Oh wow, that's a lot. I think there's a lot that we would need to do from a design perspective. You know, the way a city or a place is designed can create conditions for gender-based violence or sexual harassment in public space. So one might be having either patrolling along the streets. Second might be, to the extent possible, right?
Patrolling. Okay.
Patrolling,
Yeah.
security patrolling, police patrolling along our streets. Second would be, we have noticed generally that single land uses generally create dead spaces. Think about, a central business district, even in the night, right? Be it, let's say, Mumbai's central business district, like
Okay.
Fort area, becomes generally dead
Okay.
in the night, because you only have offices. So having more mixed use development could help, so that there's more people presence, right? From an urban planning perspective, we have mentioned street lighting to ensure that as well. In terms, we also need better helpline. I mean, we need visibility of helpline numbers, right? A lot of people don't know which number to call. A lot of people don't trust that
Will even work.
they work, whether their grievances will be heard, what will be the response time. So better functioning grievance redressal mechanisms as well. I would personally love to see more women security personnel as well. Would really love it.
So true. So even if you ask me, except 100, that's the police number, or 108, 102, the ambulance's number, there are not much awareness about the rest of the numbers.
I think one that we can look at is 181.
181.
Yeah,
And
which
what's
is a
that for?
universal helpline number to file complaints or to give for grievance for women.
Okay.
So I would say let's
For me also, this is the number that I'm hearing for the first time.
yeah,
And where because I've not seen it anywhere actually.
it is there.
Is that on the buses or something?
You would find it on the buses as well now.
Ah.
Yeah, I mean unless they have been torn away.
We've seen a lot of transition towards getting electric for mobility partners, for aggregators, right? What do you think companies like Rapido, Uber, Ola can do to not just make it electric, but more inclusive design for the two-wheelers, I can say, or similarly for four-wheelers or anything else? So what can these companies do?
You mean from a passenger perspective,
Yes.
on the design of the
On the
vehicle,
design also, yeah.
or electric?
Or let's talk about it's only women also. Do a two-wheeler OEM needs to do something specific on the design?
I think that one thing that we have observed is that the weight of the scooter, right, is the same as a nice two-wheeler.
Okay.
Be it here we are not talking about the Yulu bikes, right? Which
Okay,
we're
yeah.
not talking about them.
Yeah.
I'm
We're talking
talking
about a
about
proper two-wheeler.
the electric two-wheelers, and I think that can continue to pose a problem if you want to park, right? If you want to park the vehicle, some innovations that we have seen, right, which might be good is, like you have hill assist, or you have, I think hill assist, slope assist,
Yeah.
reverse assist, right? And in some cases, you may also have some support while you park, because it's really, I mean, even a scooter is
It is
heavy.
Yeah.
I think that is one. We are seeing some good solutions for storage. I think initially,
Storage.
as in if you want to put your helmet, but if
Okay.
I'm carrying groceries, etc., that I have enough storage in the electric two-wheeler as well. All this is apart from the general safety of the two-wheeler, electric two-wheeler, right? Like we don't want battery fires and so on. So I'm not looking at those, but just looking at the basic ergonomic design as well. I think that is where I would. One of the other pieces that I've heard, and it's a very interesting perspective, is especially riders have told us that the vehicle is too silent. And because it's silent, they cannot alert. Sometimes what happens is you have the motor, right? Here you have an electric motor, but you have, in the case of an ICE two-wheeler, the sound can alert pedestrians. Yeah.
True. Yeah.
This is something they have expressed some concern around, that they are too silent. I don't know what needs to be done. I think it's just an observation. I haven't really figured out what we need to do about it, but this has come up with riders. There was so one was that the vehicles can be too silent. As a pedestrian, I really appreciate it. That I don't like the sound of a vehicle, but if they press a horn, then there is no difference, right?
Normally, if somebody is walking by, you press a horn. That's the usual case.
I hope we don't. No, well, that's a conversation for another time.
Wow. So that conversation was really nice, and we broke some myths around it. And now I really want to move around on what Sonal Shah is doing currently. You are the founder of Urban Catalyst. Tell us more about Urban Catalyst itself. What are you doing? What are your projects that you've done in the past?
Yeah, we are 7 years old. In the eyes of many, we are still an infant.
You're not a startup now. You crossed that 5-year barrier there.
Oh, is that? I thought it was 10 years. Government of India considers 10 years for a startup. But we are 7 years old now. And I think our goal, as you know, is towards working towards gender equitable cities and transport while looking at it from a climate lens. There are certain kinds of things we don't do. But I hope that we have currently worked across 10 states in India and worked with Niti Aayog, helped them create advisories, supported them. Let me rephrase. We have supported them in issuing advisories to nodal departments across the country for electric mobility
Okay.
on reskilling, upskilling, um, and initiating skilling and for skilling initiatives to increase women's employment in the entire EV value chain, safe charging infrastructure, as well as looking at dedicated schemes to increase the uptake of electric vehicles amongst women. So I think we worked very closely with them to support them in issuing this advisory as well.
Wow. So you've done a lot of work with Niti Aayog specifically on electric mobility, then these metro rails, RRTS. So I think that's really nice. And what's your vision for next 5 years, at least for Urban Catalyst?
Yeah,
Which sectors do you think that
I
it's
think,
required
yeah,
more?
I mean, we are, I think there are a number of areas that we will be looking at. In partnership with WRI, we conducted an assessment of 10 transport and urban development policies and plans for Bangalore.
Okay.
And I think our goal is to institutionalize a gender perspective in transport policies, urban development policies, plans, budgets, and to also work towards capacity development. So that is going to be our major work.
This was done in 10 areas of
10 policies and plans. So I'll give you an example. This was the Comprehensive Mobility Plan for Bengaluru 2020.
Okay.
We evaluated it. This was the Revised Master Plan for Bengaluru 2015. This was the Comprehensive Transport Strategy. You know, multiple,
Policies,
the
yeah.
EV policy, the erstwhile EV policy, the parking policy, etc. So we developed a scale. You know, we developed a scale that would then assist decision makers to know where does a policy or a plan sit, whether it's not gender inclusive, it's minimally gender inclusive, moderately gender inclusive, and it's gender inclusive. So that is something that we have done, and we really are working. We would, while we implement projects on the ground, Priyadarshi, I think our goal really is to see how we institutionalize
Sure.
gender that moves beyond projects into a long-term, to a long-term framework.
True,
I
true.
think that is what we. I know it sounds abstract, but
But yeah, without that, it won't work. If it's not long term, it's of no use. So you can do that for one project, but what will happen
after that, so I think that's why
and
that
then
is
somebody else will pick that up. So somebody else will come pick your work, maybe do further some good things on that.
absolutely.
That's something that
Absolutely. And I'll come back to the question on collaboration, right? There are, so for example, that imagine, like I said, that the Delhi government issued this policy framework. Then they could invite potentially Martha Farrell Foundation come and help us, for example, with addressing issues that women informal workers face. They could potentially come and approach Jagori, who works a lot on gender-based violence in general, but also in public spaces. They could, and this is the way, because once you have a bigger vision, you can really collaborate with multiple organizations on different initiatives. So,
true. And when was the first time in your life when somebody told Sonal that this can't be done, but you still proved them wrong?
First time, this is my line of work. I think I am being told that every day that this can't happen
Okay.
because planning cities for women is when I'm talking to a lot of decision makers in urban development and transport, these are new concepts for them. So this happens every day.
Wow. And if you had, like, if you attach some value to it, rupees 10 for every time you were told, how rich were you till now? How rich would you have become?
I'd be
actually?
very, very rich. I'd be richer. I wouldn't have
Will
to
you,
have a
will, will
startup.
you, will you be like a Bill Gates of India then?
I'd be fairly rich.
Wow. And there are a lot of mentors in everybody's life. Who are those in yours?
You want names?
Yes. And how did they help you?
It's a good question. There are many, and I don't want to name some at the risk of not naming
No,
others.
please do. Yeah.
I can't name if I name some and I don't mention others.
But there are
it's not
always the
fair.
special ones. So see, without them, it would not have happened.
Yeah.
I'm very sure there are a lot of many.
Sure.
Good to have.
I think one person I'll give you two perspectives, right? I call my spouse my shadow co-founder. And while one may say that I would not call him a mentor, but I think if you're a startup founder, your spouse becomes someone you discuss so many aspects of your organization with. So as much as Advait would not like to be associated with being an entrepreneur, I'd say he's a shadow co-founder. Another
Officially tagged, but
yes,
he
correct,
anyways is.
correct. The second person I'd say is Supriya Tyagarajan. She is a board member of our not-for-profit Center for Sustainable and Equitable Cities. She's someone who has really supported us in the entire journey. Again, a lot of the times, I think when there were some difficult organizational decisions that had to be made, I think you appreciate some perspective. I think she has always been there for us. I think another person I'd like to name, I think it would be nice to see how he reacts, is Pawan Mulukutla. He's a very, very, I think we started as colleagues in WRI, but over a period of time, it has really evolved into a friendship, but also a mentorship for me. So I think I'd name these three, but I would also like to say I have had many mentors and I'm very privileged to have them.
For sure, Pawan has been on our show before, and
Oh,
I'm very sure that once he listens to this episode, he will.
I will message him.
Okay.
I will let him know.
And Sonal, in this world of Gen Zs and a lot of social media that happens, and this trolling is one thing that keeps happening. Have you ever been trolled, and what's the most shocking one that you might feel like?
I've not been told.
Wow. And we should not open that up for the social media to start doing.
I know, right? Why would you? Yeah. Fortunately, yeah.
Good to know that actually. If
Yeah.
that hasn't been done, I believe your work is saying everything by itself.
Okay.
And one last thing that I wanted to discuss was on specifically on women bus depots. If you talk about, do you think it's a good idea?
Why not?
Okay. And what do you think that will be different for a depot which has both men and women, or just a women depot? How does that differentiate?
Yeah.
What are the pros or cons? Basically, we can look at both the sides.
Yeah. Currently, I don't know which kind of depots we're talking about, because if they're electric bus depots, then you also have the operator and then you have the public bus authority as well.
Let's talk about any bus depot, basically.
Any bus depot.
In any city of India.
Yeah. I think, in my view, a women-only bus depot, the advantage, and why would we do that, is I think because we currently don't have many women in these operational roles. So therefore, in order for women to feel safe, and for their families to think that the depot will be a safe space, this can be a good starting point.
Okay.
Right? It can be a good starting point, because imagine a depot where a majority of your staff are men and you get like 3 or 2 women. They are not going to feel safe because of the masculinized culture of the sector as well, right? So I think that there is a purpose that women only bus depots serve.
So now that brings me to our final segment. We call it What the FAQ. It's the rapid fire round that we have. I ask one question, I expect great answers from your side. So let's start. One word for Indian cities today.
Dirty.
Wow. Delhi or Mumbai, who plans better?
Delhi.
Which global city gets the gender right?
A city that I think is good for women, Vienna.
Okay. What's one data set you wish every Indian city was collecting today?
Boarding, alighting, time, and stations for women in public transport.
So whether boarding any metro station or
The
a bus
the
or a
yeah,
bus,
bus stop, bus station. What is the boarding station? Boarding, the alighting station, and what time?
and how would that help?
Then I can have a whole session on that. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's generally so that you understand travel behavior. And if you need to prioritize certain improvements, you can start with those, no? And at
Wow.
station, let's start with stations that women are already boarding and alighting more at versus others.
So the system needs to go digital and identify whether it's a female or a male passenger.
I think so. I mean, I think non-binary individual would also be good.
True, true. Yeah, that way. Yeah. The worst urban design you've ever seen.
No comment.
Wow, no controversies here. A project you secretly wish you had led.
I have seen this development called an Asper node in outside. I'm not in Vienna,
Okay.
which is a great example of good urban design, gender inclusivity. I would love to be a part of a project like this to make it happen.
Wow. We should bring that to India then, definitely. And you could be part of
I actually, I
leading that.
will say that having seen the city, I would love to have worked in the municipal council, Vienna City Hall, as the gender expert. I would have really loved to be part of this to understand what it would be like.
Wow. One policy buzzword that's pure jargon.
Feminist city.
A meeting where you knew this plan will never work.
None. I am
Always
I'm quite optimistic.
Wow. If Netflix made a series on urban planners, what should it be called?
What should it be called? I don't know. Uh,
City builders. And that's my example, yeah, not yours.
or you know what I'd say? Uh, uh, the city that never got built.
Okay. You're taking it on the reverse side.
Because I feel that we give a lot of power to urban planners. Unfortunately, they don't have that much power.
Okay. Anybody who's listening, yeah. So what's one small step companies like Urban Company could take tomorrow to make it workforce commute safer?
I don't know enough about how their partners commute to comment on that. No idea.
Okay. Zomato, Swiggy, who's doing better on street safety for women?
I don't know.
The most underrated Delhi neighborhood you love?
The most underrated Delhi neighborhood. I don't know if it is. I'd have to think.
Or Delhi NCR?
I like. I mean, I think it's well rated, but I still like it. It's called Niti Bagh.
Okay.
It's not
It's not
underrated
underrated.
by any means. Yeah, it's not. But I'm a free rider, so
Okay. A women-led mobility initiative you admire right now?
I think I have a lot of admiration for organizations like Azad Foundation and even Cargo for trying to break gender barriers in a field that is very male dominated. So both of them,
That is
trying
true.
to create a women only EV fleet and to try and train women drivers and women drivers.
Which Bollywood movie best represents Delhi's traffic?
I don't know.
No Bollywood.
I can't recall any.
Metro, cycle, or e-rickshaw? Your pick for a quick 2 kilometer ride.
Walking first, if I can. That would be my first one. I used to cycle, so I hope I can still cycle. Those would be my two options. Or otherwise, e-rickshaw.
Okay, you've taken all names then, but with priority.
Yes.
Have you ever jaywalked despite preaching road safety?
I jaywalk all the time.
Okay. Have you ever argued with an auto rickshaw driver?
All the time.
Ever taken a car for a 500 meter trip?
I haven't driven a car in a very long time.
And a cab? Like you can
No,
take a cab also
no.
for a
Oh,
500.
okay. No, 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 no.
Fine, Sonal. That was great conversation with you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks so much, Priyadarshi. Look forward to seeing the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for watching this episode of What's the Vision. We'll keep bringing visionaries like her in our future episode also. But we need a favor from you. A lot of you that been seeing this episode don't follow our channel. So please do help us subscribe this channel so we keep bringing more and more good guests, good visionaries on the show. Till we meet again, thank you so much.